Hey everyone, and welcome back to Sumsub for Experts. I'm Kat Cloud, Head of Government Relations here at Sumsub, and I'm excited to join you for my first ever episode as the host of the channel. If you're new here, welcome. This new series is about demystifying regulatory guidance, diving into compliance best practices, and giving you a clearer picture of how to protect your business against financial crime. My role at Sumsub involves engaging with regulators, policymakers, and industry leaders to help shape standards that actually work in practice. I constantly decode the ever-evolving rulebooks of authorities around the world and turn them into actionable insights for teams like yours. You'll see me on the channel regularly, walking you through hot topics like today's CySEC's new guidance on sanction screening, something that's not just important, but essential in today's compliance landscape. We'll discuss what's going wrong in many firms and why the tools you choose, like Sumsub's transaction monitoring, can make or break your compliance game. Let's get into it. Why sanction screening matters. Sanction screening is one of the most critical components in any compliance program. It's your first line of defense against prohibited transactions and dealing with sanctioned individuals or entities. But here's the thing, the regulatory bar is rising. Regulators like CySEC no longer want to hear, we have a screening tool. They want proof that the system works and that it's intelligently automated, thoroughly tested, and actively managed by your compliance team. So let's put this into perspective. In 2024, a Cyprus-based investment firm was fined over 800,000 euros after it failed to flag transactions linked to entities on a sanctions list updated just weeks earlier. The issue? They were using a legacy screening tool that wasn't syncing regularly with new watch list, and no one was monitoring that lapse. These are not hypothetical risk. In today's geopolitical climate, sanctions lists are updated frequently and unpredictably. If your system can't keep up, your company might be processing restricted transactions without even knowing it. This is why CySEC's latest guidance matters to every fintech operating in Cyprus and the wider EU. You need to understand not just the tool, but also how it is used, tuned, and governed. So let's have an overview of CySEC's guidance. For those new to the Cyprus regulatory landscape, CySEC stands for the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission. It was established in 2001 following Cyprus's entry into the EU, with a mandate to regulate the investments and services market, promote transparency, and ensure investor protection. CySEC has evolved into one of the most influential financial regulators in Europe, particularly for firms offering cross-border financial services and crypto-related operations. Given Cyprus's prominence as a financial services hub, CySEC's actions often have a ripple effect far beyond its borders. In February 2025, following the audit of a number of regulated entities, CySEC released new guidance for maintaining effective and efficient sanction screening systems. A document aimed at tightening screening practices and improving operational resilience in the face of rising geopolitical complexity. One key point they emphasized, over-reliance on third parties without fully understanding their capabilities is a serious risk. Many firms don't even realize what their tools can or can't do. This comprehensive guidance calls for a shift in how firms approach sanctions compliance from passive to proactive. Common pitfalls highlighted by CySEC. Let's talk about some of the most common weaknesses CySEC uncovered when auditing regulated firms. These aren't edge cases, they're systemic gaps that show up across sectors, businesses, and firm sizes. Here are some of the deficiencies that they identified. Over-reliance on third-party screening tools without understanding how those systems work and how they can be configured to meet companies' specific needs. Outdated or unsynchronized watch lists that miss critical updates. Inappropriate configuration of the screening tools resulting in either too many false positives or in failing to identify matches based on the manipulated records. Manual screening processes that introduce delays are not suitable for timely ongoing screening, nor for screening in companies with a somewhat tangible number of customers. And finally, what CySEC is highlighting here is not just a technical deficiency, it's a governance failure. While regulators are often called to go further, for example, by providing a list of reviewed and approved third-party vendors, they can only go so far. We as the industry have shared responsibilities. It's not just on regulators. This is where we need to reframe the conversation. It's not just up to regulators to police the marketplace of compliance tech. The responsibility lies equally with firms to properly assess and test the tools they choose, vendors, like Sumsub, to ensure their products are transparent, well-documented, and adaptable, and finally, compliance teams to understand what those tools are actually doing under the hood. Having a big name vendor isn't enough. If your team can't explain how the screening logic works, what the match criteria are, or how often the system is updated, you have a compliance problem. And from the vendor side, offering a black box product that generates alerts without transparency or meaningful logic control is increasingly unacceptable in today's regulatory climate. Building a smarter compliance ecosystem. This is also an opportunity. Firms that take the time to collaborate closely with their vendors, customize rules to match their specific risk profiles, and continuously test the performance of their tools are the ones best positioned to meet evolving regulatory expectations. And the best third-party vendors should welcome this level of scrutiny. At Sumsub, for example, we build systems that allow full configurability, provide match transparency, and offer ongoing support so clients know exactly what's happening when a screening alert is triggered. Bottom line, CySEC may eventually move towards certifying or reviewing third-party tools, but until then, the due diligence falls squarely on firms and vendors alike. Treat your sanctions screening system like a mission-critical part of your infrastructure, because that's exactly what it is. Key components of an effective sanctions screening system. CySEC lays out, very helpfully, a clear roadmap for what an effective system looks like. So let's break it down. First, governance and oversight. Senior management should be hands-on, not distant. In other words, leadership must do more than sign off. They must actively oversee the sanctions screening framework, receive regular reports, and actively assess sanctions compliance program. The regulated entity shall also ensure there's an appropriate oversight and accountability in case of sanctions non-compliance. Firms need internal escalation paths and documented ownership, meaning firms should have a named compliance officer responsible for screening performance and a structure for reporting up to the board, as well as adequately trained personnel. 2. Third-party tools. Know what you're using. A good understanding of third-party screening systems and their configuration abilities. With Sumsub's transaction monitoring solution, for example, you can go far beyond basic name matching. It builds detailed user profiles during onboarding, allowing it to detect unusual or high-risk behavior across the full customer lifecycle. Users can apply industry-specific rules or create custom ones using identity data, transactions, and account activity. All of this helps automate detection and reduce the manual burden on compliance teams, while also ensuring compliance. 3. Annual over manual review. CySEC encourages firms to shift towards intelligent automation, especially as volumes scale, as manual review is inconsistent, slow, and error-prone. With tools like Sumsub, firms can automate decision-making using flexible rules, workflows, and built-in intelligence, while maintaining human oversight for those gray areas. This is especially useful for crypto exchanges or high-frequency trading firms, where delays can create serious operational risk. 4. Identifying manipulated names. Bad actors are increasingly clever when trying to bypass sanctions screening. One of the most common tactics, name manipulation, using spelling variations, transliterations, reverse order, or partial identifiers to avoid detection. That's why CySEC is placing greater emphasis on systems that can detect these subtle tricks, and why fuzzy logic and smart pattern recognition are now essential features of any modern screening tool. Take this real-world example. A sanctioned individual attempted to access a European trading platform by reversing their first and last names and slightly altering the spelling. A standard screening tool, relying on exact name matching, would have missed this manipulation entirely. In contrast, a system equipped with fuzzy matching, like Sumsub, have flagged the name as a likely match, allowing compliance teams to intervene before the individual could onboard or transact. This shows why it's not enough to have a tool. You need a tool with the intelligence to detect bad faith behavior and a team that understands how to act on what it finds. 5. Match results with context. False positives are one of the biggest challenges for compliance teams. CySEC wants firms to move away from binary matches and towards contextual decision-making. Many systems flood teams with false positives. Sumsub simplifies this by giving 4 match categories. True positive, 100% match confirmed, matching on all key identifiers. Potential match, partial match, requiring analysis review. False positive, match invalidated by extra data. And unknown, partial match with first name only, lacking sufficient data to decide. This means your compliance team spends less time manually digging for context. The system does that for you. Any third party you use should offer this level of granularity. Best practices and recommendations. Here are the top action points from CySEC's guidance combined with what we're seeing across the industry. Audit your current sanction screening process. What are your match rates? Are you getting overwhelmed with false positives? Do you miss matches when the names are manipulated? Know your tools. Don't just subscribe to a platform. Learn what it's truly capable of. Tools like Sumsub's transaction monitoring offer built-in logic, identity profiling, fuzzy matching, and automated decision support. Switch to automation. Manual reviews slows everything down. Automated screening, especially when paired with customizable rules, is no longer optional. It's the gold standard. Calibrate and test your system. Regular testing, scenario analysis, and red teaming should be happening quarterly. Push for oversight. Ask your regulator to publish guidance or vetted tool providers. This helps standardize quality across the industry. CySEC may be moving in that direction. Final thoughts and what's next. Sanction screening is evolving, and CySEC is making it clear. Compliance isn't just having a tool, it's using it effectively. Whether you're using in-house systems or platforms like Sumsub, what matters is how you manage risk, not just that you have coverage. Whether you are a traditional investment firm, a crypto exchange, or a cross-border payments provider, you must know how your screening engine works, how it's tuned to your risk profile, how your team investigates alerts, and how often is your system tested and improved. At Sumsub, we've built our platform to support this new reality, combining automation with human insight, identity profiling with transaction monitoring, and scalable logic with strong documentation. If CySEC and other regulators begin certifying tools, it will be even more critical that your vendor is ready for that level of scrutiny. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Sumsub for Experts. I hope this helped bring CySEC's sanction screening guidance into sharper focus and gave you practical steps for staying ahead. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe, share it with your team, and let us know in the comments. How are you handling sanction screening today? Are you automating yet? What's working and what isn't? Let's compare notes. Until next time, I'm Kat Cloud. Stay sharp and stay compliant.